So, going back to college as an adult, it's a huge step, right? And it comes with a completely unique set of challenges. In this explainer, we're going to break down what the research actually says about how you, as a returning student, can do more than just survive. You can absolutely thrive.
Okay, let's just start with a number that tells a really powerful story, 46.8%. So what is that? Well, that's the percentage of students in a very specific group who actually come back for their second year of college. It's what's called the persistence rate. And it's not great. So who are we talking about here?
We're talking about what are called non-traditional students. Basically, anyone who's 25 or older and decides to hit the books again. And they make up a massive part of today's college population. But that number we just saw, that 46.8%, it really shows just how tough of an uphill battle it can be just to stay in school. So what's really going on here? What makes the college journey so uniquely challenging for adult learners? I mean, it's not just about feeling a little rusty after a long break from school. The reality is, well, it's way more complex than that.
Let's be real. Non-traditional students are basically master jugglers. I mean, you're often balancing full-time jobs, maybe even multiple jobs, taking care of kids or parents, and trying to stick to a super tight budget. All of that, it just doesn't leave much time for things like campus activities. And as we're about to see, that's a much, much bigger deal than you might think.
And that idea leads us right to this quote, which points to a really crucial insight from recent research. It says that the reason students leave, it's not really about their background or all those things they're juggling. The biggest factor, it's their lack of engagement once they're actually in college.
So that's the key word right there, engagement. And that's really the central piece of this whole puzzle. We're talking about building a real connection to the college itself, to what you're learning, and to the people around you. Honestly, it's kind of the secret ingredient for sticking with it.
This model here is a great way to visualize what's happening. It's called Revised Persistence Model, and it basically shows how all those outside things, your job, your family, your finances, are constantly interacting with your internal stuff, like your own commitment and your study habits. Success is all about figuring out how to manage that push and pull between your life outside school and your life in it. And wow, the data on this is it's incredible. Check this out. One huge study found that when students feel academically challenged, their odds of staying in school shoot up by a staggering 97%. 97. And something as simple as having more interaction with your professors, that boosts the odds by almost 37%. So yeah, engagement is not some fuzzy, soft skill. It has a real, measurable, massive impact.
Okay, so we've identified the problem, and we know that engagement is the key. So now what? Well, now we're going to get practical. Let's talk about building your own personal toolkit. How can you, as an adult learner, actually take control and create a system that sets you up for success?
All right, it all starts with discipline, but don't let that word scare you. Just think of it as creating a structure that supports you. Step 1, build a routine. Carve out specific, dedicated times for studying. Step 2, get a simple weekly planner. Use it to keep track of everything you have to do. And step 3, and this is a big one, find an accountability partner, a mentor, a study group, whatever works. Just someone to check in with. That alone is a fantastic way to build engagement.
Okay, let's talk about another huge one, tackling those dense academic research papers without getting totally overwhelmed. The trick is to use a 3-level approach. First, just survey it. Skim the title, the abstract, the headings, just get the lay of the land. Second, go back and do a focused read, but only on the parts that are really relevant to you. And finally, you analyze it. You actually critique the methods and think about how the findings connect to what you already know. It totally changes reading from a chore into an active, engaging process.
Now, here's the really cool part. These habits and strategies, they aren't just good ideas someone came up with. They're actually backed by more than 100 years of cognitive science. It all boils down to one incredibly powerful principle that helps you study smarter, not just harder.
It's called the spacing effect. And get this, it was first identified way back in 1885. The idea is super simple, but honestly, it's profound. You will learn and remember things so much better if you space your study sessions out over time instead of trying to cram it all in during one monster study session.
So, why does this work so well? Well, think of it this way. Spacing out your studying helps your brain encode information into long-term memory. It's like you're neatly filing it away for later. Cramming, that just shoves everything into your short-term memory, which gets overloaded, and you forget it almost immediately. For an adult learner who is always crunched for time, this is a game changer. It means every minute you spend studying is way more effective, and you avoid that awful burnout feeling.
And hey, if you want a little pro tip to make this even more powerful, look into something called the lag effect. Basically, it just means that when you're spacing things out, a longer gap between study sessions is often better than a shorter one for remembering things long-term. So, believe it or not, reviewing something a week later can be way more powerful than reviewing it the very next day. Okay, these individual strategies are incredibly powerful for sure, but they don't happen in a vacuum, right? Real, lasting success also means we need to connect our personal habits to the bigger picture, and that includes the support we get from our colleges and universities.
And let's just be really clear about who we're talking about here, because this is important. Data from one big education support fund paints a really clear picture. 94% are over the age of 25. A majority are people of color, and more than 3/4 of them are working in low-wage jobs. These are not just numbers on a chart. These are real people working so hard to build a better life.
So what's the role of the institution in all of this? Well, the research points to some really clear, proven strategies. Things like strong mentoring programs, orientations that set realistic expectations, and getting rid of standalone remedial classes in favor of ones that integrate that help directly. It's all about creating an environment that is actually designed for an adult learner to succeed. And we have to get this right. We have to, because the stakes really could not be higher. Look at this number, over $1 million. That's the average additional amount of money someone with a college degree will earn in their lifetime compared to someone with just a high school diploma.
So you see, this is about so much more than just a piece of paper. It's a direct path to economic stability, to better jobs, and to the well-being of entire families for generations. Supporting non-traditional students, it's not just good for them, it's good for all of us.
And all of this really leaves us with one final, critical question. The traditional model of college, it was built for a different kind of student, from a different time. So the challenge now, for all of us, for students, for teachers, for the schools themselves, is this: how can we redesign learning to actually fit the complex, busy, ambitious lives that we are all living today?